Greetings, Bassketeers, Josh Fossgreen here, and today I'm going to show you how to play a fun slap riff in the style of Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. To get started, you'll want to download the PDF. There's sheet music and tablature, which is really important today because it also has technical notation for slaps and pops and hammer-ons, so you know what right-hand patterns to do along with the sheet music and tab. Okay, so let me just play this for you a couple times before I start teaching it to you, just so you can get it in your ear. So here's our drum groove. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more thing before we get this under your fingers, let's just do a quick theory analysis here because it's really important always to understand what notes you're playing in context. That way you can create generalizable mental patterns and understand music more in the future. So this riff is in the key of G minor. First chord is the 1 chord, G minor. Then we go to the 6th chord, E flat major. C minor is the 4 chord. And then F5 would be an F major. If we had the 3rd in there, is the 7 chord in the key of G minor. So it's just a 1, 6, 4, 7 progression in the key of G minor. Pretty straightforward diatonic progression. Okay, let's jump into actually learning this. We're going to kind of take this half a bar at a time. First half of bar 1 sounds like this. Okay, thumb, thump, pop, thump, pop, thumb, thump, thump, pop, thump, pop, thumb. So we're just playing octaves on the G, and then sliding up to D, which is the 5th of that chord. So first of all, slap technique, if you're not already comfortable with slaps and pops, look at some of my previous lessons where I get into the technical basics. We're just going to address this riff here today for simplicity. So this rhythmic pattern, it's a really great pattern to know if you want to learn some of Slea's slap parts because he uses this pattern a lot, like at the end of the bar in Naked in the Rain. Same pattern, thumb, thump, pop, thumb, or Aeroplane, very similar slap line to what we're playing today. Same key too. I wonder if I derived this at all from that part. Anyway, so very common Flea rhythmic pattern. 8th, 16th, 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 8th. Okay? Now, second half of bar 1, we're doing a slightly different pattern. Instead of just thump, thump, pop, thumb, we're going to throw an extra 16th note in there with this hammer-on. So we're going to go thumb, hammer, thump, pop, thumb, thumb, hammer, thump, pop, thumb. So the whole first bar sounds like. Okay, so the second half of the bar is very similar to the first half. We're just changing the first thumb on the root by starting a half step down, thumbing that, and then hammering to the root. So it's interesting because the chord change should come on beat 3. We're actually not playing the root until the E of beat 3, but your ear just kind of corrects those kind of small differences. Much to our luck because it gives you a lot of options with your slap technique. Okay, so bar 1 more time slow. Okay, and there's some ghost thumbs in there. I think what I'll do is I'll finish teaching you the line, then we'll talk more about how to deal with those ghost notes on the thumb. Okay, so bar 2. First half. Is the exact same pattern we had at the beginning of bar 1. Thump, thump, pop, thump, thump, pop, thumb. Okay, just going root, 10th, which is the 3rd, 5th, on the C minor chord, and then second half of the bar, slightly different rhythmic pattern. We're basically doing thumb, thump, pop, thumb, but then we're adding a hammer on at the end. Okay, so bar 2 altogether sounds like. And then you get back down to G really quick, except, so this is basically a 2-bar pattern. We've talked about the first 2 bars in a little bit of detail. Now bar 3, there's a slight variation, so that bars 3 and 4 are identical to bars 1 and 2, except for this thing at the beginning of bar 3, we're going to do something similar to what we do on the E flat chord on the first chord. Okay, so instead of just going thumb, thump, pop, thumb, I'm going to thumb the open E, then hammer the G, then continue the pattern the same way. This is a really cool way to get some more percussive activity out of your line without actually making it any harder, because instead of going like this, I'm just thumbing before I actually hit the note that I want, and then I'm hammering the note that I want. This is a trick that Victor Wooten uses a lot, okay? Right out of the classical thump etude, okay? So, you can also hear this on Jamiroquai's All Right. That's a great slap line. I think that's Stuart Zender on that. He does a lot of cool stuff like this too. So beginning of bar 3, thumb, hammer, thump, pop, thumb. And then the rest is the same as we already covered. Okay. Let's talk about a couple more things and then we'll play this together. Thing number 1 that I want to talk about is left-hand fingering, just for clarity. So octaves, I almost always, 90% of the time, do index pinky. I really recommend that you don't do index ring finger because it's more work than you need to be doing. It stretches out your hand more than it needs to be stretched out. And in this case, since we're just playing these 2 notes down here, it just makes sense to do index pinky. Okay, so index pinky, index, index, middle to pinky, okay. So then you can play that whole E flat chord without shifting. Index, middle, pinky. Then for the C minor chord, I'm barring the C and the E flat, the E and G string notes with the index, then pinky on the G, on the A string. And then for the F chord, it's all just index and pinky. Okay, so ghost notes with the thumb can be really hard if you're not used to doing this, because it'll sound like instead of. So the trick is to emphasize those pops really strongly. Because that's where you want the rhythmic emphasis to be. If you don't do that, it'll sound like boom, 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 boom. It'll sound too like hokey pokey, and you want that syncopated feeling in your slap line. So you want a strong thumb here. Pretty much the first thumb and the last thumb in the pattern you want to hear. The ones in the middle don't actually matter at all. It's just your thumb kind of hitting the string in between the pops. You really want it to sound like you're not even doing those thumbs, like those ghost thumbs in the middle there really just happen as a result of how the slap and pop technique works, because the slap is a downward rotation, the pop is an upward rotation. If you want to do multiple pops in a row, if your hand's in a relaxed state, you'll probably just get those ghost thumbs in there anyway. So the trick is to just not think about them, don't try to give them musical emphasis, just think about the pops in the middle there. Okay, it's easier said than done. I know you're probably angry at me right now for making it sound like, oh yeah, just don't think about the thumbs and it'll be easy. But that's what I did. When I remember when I was first reading a slap line like this, and I was like, mine doesn't sound right. It's getting too much emphasis on those slaps that are on the beat. Okay, let's play this one more time together. Well, it's not one more time. It's the first time we're playing it together. And then we'll talk about one other little thing you can play with on this. Okay, so here we go. Here's the drums. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to know that in the interest of keeping these videos as short as I can, I don't have different tempo play-alongs for you for every single video. So in this case, if you're unless you're a really incredible slap bassist, you probably won't be able to play this groove at tempo right now, just having learned it. Okay, so feel free and encouraged to take out your metronome, start at a tempo that's realistic for you, and then work your way up so that you can play along with me in the video and consider it a little reward for the practice that you've put in. One more thing you can think about on this is how much you let the notes ring versus keeping it short. I'll just contrast the options here. Okay, so I can get a lot of variation out of this line by changing how much I let the notes ring, particularly on those last few chords. Okay, so I can actually play, basically playing those as chords, the low note and the high note. Versus letting the low note go when I pop the high notes. Okay, so this is something where if this was in a song, maybe you would start making it along towards the end of the song section to like build some suspense into whatever the next thing is that happened. So you can get a lot of musical effect out of changing your note length. So let's play this together one more time. Let's go through the 4 bars staccato as much as you can the first time, and then more legato, and let those notes ring together as chords, especially at the end of the pattern. So we'll go through this twice total, short once, long once. 1, 2, 1, 2, short, 4. So you can hear how much more space there is in the line when you keep those notes short. So again, another way you could use this is maybe while the vocals are in, keep your notes really short so there's a lot of space to hear the vocalist, and then a guitar riff comes in as an interlude and you play the notes a little longer. So a lot of stuff you can do with that, and if you listen to Flea and other bass players, you'll hear a lot of that, kind of changing the note length of the line as the section progresses or changes. Okay, so that's this riff. I hope you've enjoyed it. I really encourage you to do what I did to create this, which is to take rhythmic patterns from slap riffs that you know and just tweak the notes and kind of make your own lines out of them. It's really beneficial to do that. So if you would like to learn more about this stuff and get some help, I am actually available for some one-on-one Skype students right now. Sometimes my schedule doesn't allow for that. Right now it does. So if you've been thinking about that, or if you're just now thinking about it while I'm talking about it, I encourage you to go to my website, joshfossgreen.com. You can shoot me an email. And don't hold off on that if that's something you're interested in, because my availability changes. I may not always be offering one-on-one lessons depending on how things change over the years, so don't delay. And if you want to support me in continuing to make these videos, you can check out my Patreon page. You can get a lot of cool rewards for supporting me there. You can also buy my books, Beastly Scales and Arpeggios, Electric Bass Scales and Arpeggios, and I think those are all the books I've written. I'm starting to lose track after 2, even though I should be able to count higher than that because I have 10 fingers. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon. Rock on.